Hello guys, in this Math Minute video we are going to review the old skill of subtraction with whole numbers. This is not a new skill, but it's something that's nice to practice because it will really help you build on that understanding of place value and the standard algorithm when we move into subtraction with decimals. When you were little, we always talked about subtraction being a takeaway problem. You would get little problems like 5 ladybugs land on a branch, 3 ladybugs fly away. And for your first uses of subtraction, it was always a very concrete takeaway problem. But there are two other reasons that you might use subtraction in a story problem, and that would be to compare numbers, who has more than or less than, and finding a missing part. So if you had the total and you knew one of the pieces or two of the pieces and you were trying to find that missing part, subtraction is the operation that we'll use. So it's a very popular operation, and it's a picky little operation too because it demands that we do it in a certain order, and so we'll practice that here in a second. Like addition, understanding that place value is going to help you understand what we are doing when we are borrowing in that standard algorithm or regrouping. And finally, like in addition, with our standard algorithm, we like to start in the far right, the smallest place possible. In today's lesson, we're only going to be subtracting with whole numbers, so we're going to start in the ones place. So let's take a look at the standard algorithm first, and then we'll lead into the same problem in base 10 blocks so you can kind of get a conceptual understanding for what we're doing. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this problem vertically. Textbooks and worksheets are famous for putting them horizontally so that it saves space. But for our purposes, to be more accurate and to get those places lined up, it's a good idea to write them vertically. And as we mentioned, we're going to start with the smallest place. So in this case, we're going to be starting with the ones place on the far right of the problem. Now, in second grade, when you learned how to do this, you may or may not remember your teacher telling you, ask yourself, is the bottom number bigger? And if it is, you need to break apart that 10. My 5 is, in fact, smaller than this 3. And because of that, I need to go next door. He's broke. So I have to go next door again and borrow from that hundreds place. Remember, each place is 10 times bigger than the value of its neighbor. So that is why that little moving over a 10 works for no matter what place we're in. Now that I have 13 ones, I can subtract 5 of them, and that would leave me with 8. 9 take away 3 gives 6, and 4 is bigger than 1. So again, I'm going to need to go next door to that thousands place and borrow. 10 hundreds is the same as 1,000. So that is why I'm bringing that 1 over, and now I can subtract. Now, another thing that's kind of interesting about this is that in real life, when you're an adult walking around the world doing your subtraction, oftentimes we are doing it in our head before we even do the actual math. So if I looked at this problem and I saw that I had these two numbers, I would probably in my head think, this is like 1,200, take away 400. Notice I just rounded them to make my life easier. Estimation is meant to be easy. That's why we do it before we solve, so that we know if we're on the right track. I know 1,200 take away 400 would give me 800. And when I look at this answer that I got, 768, that's pretty close to 800. So I know that I'm in the right ballpark. And if I really want to find out if I got it right, I can use my fact family to help me by adding my numbers to figure out if it matches that original number that I started with. Now, let's look at this exact same problem, but this time we're going to look at it with the base 10 blocks. And that might help you get a better mental idea of what it is we're doing when we carry. So I've started with 1,203, and now I'm going to show that second number that we had in our number sentence, 435. Okay, now I'm pulling my 5 ones down, and as I'm doing that, I'm noticing that I do not have enough ones right now to take 5 away. I need more ones. So I'm kind of going to the bank, as they say, to regroup those bigger place values so that I can bring some over to the ones place. I need 2 more. I don't have any tens to borrow. So I'm going to actually have to go to that hundreds, turn it into 10 tens, and then I'm going to need to bring one of those tens over to the ones place. So I am going to be left with 10 ones up top and 9 tens up top. And now I'm able to take away those 2 ones. Looking at my tens, I see I've got plenty of tens. I don't need to regroup. I can subtract 3, but I do not have enough hundreds. So I'm going back again, up next door, taking that 1,000, chopping it into 10 groups of 100, and now I can subtract. Once I've done that, I'm just moving these blocks around a little so you can see that I definitely have 7 of those hundreds. I've got 6 tens, and I have 8 ones. And that is indeed the exact same answer we got when we did it with the standard algorithm. So hopefully seeing this problem with those base 10 blocks might help you kind of get an understanding of what we're doing when we say you need to borrow, or you need to regroup, or you need to carry. There's a lot of different terms we use for that algorithm. So subtracting with whole numbers is something that you're probably pretty good at already, but it definitely might need a refresher now and then. It is a little more complicated than addition. Remember, just like with addition, if the problem isn't written vertically, you're going to want to do that. And you want to line up those place values starting on the far, far right. Neatness is important, and I know that's tough. It's tough for me still, even now. So if that's you, you might think about using grid paper or line paper to help you line up. And then with subtraction, we cannot flip the order of the numbers, and that's a common mistake that lots of fifth graders make. So you want to always just check to make sure if the bottom number is bigger, you will need to go next door and get some of those bigger units to break them up so that you can have enough to take away. Now, if you get stuck, remember, lining them up, starting on the far right, checking for that bottom number bigger should get you exactly where you need to be. But if you get stuck, you are always welcome to come back to these little tutorial videos and give yourself a little refresher. Good luck.